Okay. The next step is to put these chamfers on here. Okay, a chamfer is a 45-degree edge treatment on a square section. So instead of having a 90-degree angle on these edges here, along here, we're going to create a chamfer which is a 45-degree edge. Okay, and they're all going to meet up. And the trick here is to get them to all meet up, to all be the same size. Meeting up in the corners is where you can tell whether or not they're different sizes. This one's reasonably good, but you can see it becomes pretty clear. This one here, you can see these. You can see the two lines that are created when you file that chamfer. You want to keep those parallel to each other. So if you see them drifting wider apart, it means that your chamfer's not exact. When you're putting the chamfer on, just gauge. You want to keep a bit of distance between the edge of the pip and the edge of the chamfer. I think I need to shift the holes in a bit so that you've got a bit more room to play with. So because of that, you can't actually do the chamfer before you drill the holes. Because if you put the chamfer on, then you drill the hole, it's highly likely you're going to drill into that chamfer. When you're setting it up, you're going to put it in the vise. Don't forget, put some tape on the vise to protect it a bit. And I'll show you with one of these. Oh, I haven't drilled the holes. Yeah. So you're going to put it in on an angle. Okay, so go from corner to corner on your vise. Because when you're filing, you want to file horizontally. So you want to have the file moving horizontally. There's a bunch of different files there. We've got the coarsest one I think we've got there is called a flat bastard. The bastard's type of file, and it's a relatively coarse file. This one's actually a half round, so you can see because it's got that curve on one side and a flat on the other side. You can use that, it's not a problem, just use the flat side. And then there's a second cut and a flat smooth, and they get finer as you go through. Some of them are really worn, so some of the flat bastards will take off not much more material than a smooth file. So you'll just have to grab a file and see which one works for you. When you're using a file, you're going to hold the handle in your dominant hand and stand off to the side, with your work in front of you and slightly to your side. Okay. So I've got my dominant hand here, and you're going to move it backwards and forwards, keeping the file in line with your arm and then all the way in line with your shoulder. Okay, so you can see it's all in line and it's moving backwards and forwards like that. I've got enough movement in all these joints here to keep it filing horizontal. Place your non-dominant hand on the front. You can get a glove if you want. There's a box of gloves on the back left there. And then it's just a matter of moving it forwards and backwards and removing material. Put it in nice and tight. And you're keeping it horizontal the whole time. Okay, you don't want to be filing like this because then it won't be a flat chamfer. Okay. Now, the size of the chamfer is going to vary a bit, but let me do about there. Okay, so if you look, get down. Okay. Okay, so you can see here that there's two parallel lines. As you're working your way through each of the edges, work on an edge that is adjacent to the one you just did. That way, as you're working through, you'll notice more clearly if you make an error. So I'm going to go from that one, I'm going to do this one here. So I'll rotate it so that that one is now sitting at the top. Put it on an angle. Now, when you're filing the second one, you want to make sure those edges are parallel, but you also want to make sure that the distance those two edges are apart are the same as the one you've previously done. So she might be a bit easier to see if you turn it around. I'll turn it around, you might be able to see it better. Okay, so that's the edge that I've already filed, and I'll do this one. Because this has got the curved edge on it, it shouldn't take as long to do. Alright, so you can see where those two chamfered edges join up. Hello? Where those two edges join up, you can see that they're almost the same. It's a little bit lower on this side, on here, so I'll just pop that back in and work that next one down a bit. The idea is to get it as accurate as you can, all the way around. As you work your way around, these will start to join up. Where you've got two edges meeting together that you've got to get the same size, that's when you're going to have to play around with making them a little bit wider. Don't start too big with a chamfer, okay, because if you do, say for instance here, with this dice here, the distance between the pip here and the edge is quite a long way. So if I started filing this, and put a large chamfer on it, by the time I got round to this one, where it's a lot closer, it's going to be, the chamfer is going to be going into that dot there. Alright, I think that's all I wanted to show you with that. So if you, once you've drilled your pips, start filing your chamfers.